We are back, everyone. Episode 49 of the Jader and Kyle show is here, and it is fast and it is furious. We are ready to go. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Jader. What's going on, man?
What's up, dude? It's
What's
been a while. I haven't seen your face in a while. We have been I don't even want to say in hiatus, man. It's been a completely opposite schedule. Especially you moving Father's Day weekend. I had plans. This weekend I'm going out of town as well with my best friend. So it's we've been busy, man. We've been busy. We have
Well, that's what I was saying is that after I announced that I'm moving, you're like, screw it, we're not doing the show anymore. And
Okay, I quit, bro. You leaving me? But yeah, dude. But yeah, man. Glad to be back. Glad to be talking this franchise because I absolutely adore it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun episode, guys. We're gonna do a couple reviews. In the Heights, we're gonna review at the end. So stick around if you're a fan of that movie. Stick around. We're gonna talk about that at the end. But also Fast 9. Jader saw it, and we're gonna talk about the rest of the franchise as well. Not break down every single film, but just kind of a general overview of how we feel about the franchise, the characters, the family. So we'll see how that goes. But Jader's not the only one who saw Fast 9 or F9, the Fast Saga. We'll get into that. Also, another member of Pop Culture Pros, Mr. Gilberto Campa. Welcome, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Sir, how are we doing? Welcome to the show.
Good to be back with family.
Family is here. Yeah, Bert, this is the first time you're back on since was the Ocean. I know we had you on Oceans, right? The Oceans franchise. Did you come back on for one of our big episodes? I can't remember.
I think it was the Snyder Cut one.
Snyder Cut, yeah. You hopped in there. Yeah. Yep. So it's good to have you back, man. And you are fresh out of a screening right now of Fast.
Everyone who's watching, I literally just got home from the screening, so the movie's super fresh in my head.
Yeah. So we're gonna have a lot to talk about here, but first, before we jump into F9, let's talk about the rest of this franchise. The Fast and Furious franchise started all the way back in 2001, and
20 years ago today.
Yeah, see, just today, I just read that earlier. 20 years ago, Fast and Furious came out. Paul Walker, Vin Diesel, Jordana Brewster, Michelle Rodriguez. It was basically what people called was a point break with cars.
20 years ago, my ass was in the theater watching this movie. Probably getting out of it because I saw it around 7:00 at night. We're in a packed theater down here, Palace 18 Theater, and they had the Evo. Not the Evo, was it an Eclipse? I forgot the car, the first car, the green car that blows up in the beginning, and they had the Supra right in front of the movie theater. Okay. Super cool. And yeah, became that huge fan of that movie. It was my favorite movie for a long time.
Really? Favorite movie?
I was obsessed with this film, obsessed with it.
So it's crazy to look back at this first film and see where we are now. I mean, no one could have predicted this franchise would be where it's at. I just read an article today. People call it Hollywood's most unlikely franchise. For any franchise to get to 9, 10, 11 films is something you don't see too often at all. There's very rare amount of franchises that do that. So for Fast and Furious to get there, that's like a testament to its staying power, its fans. The fans love this stuff. And coming from personal experience, I used to hate this franchise until last week. And then I just watched them all again.
Really?
Yeah.
That's right. You would tell me that you didn't want to review this. That's right. I absolutely forgot.
I hated this franchise, but you know what? I went back and I watched it, and you just have to accept the dumb. The dumb's a part of it. Dumb Toretto. So I'm ready to rank these films. And so, Bert, I'm going to throw this to you right now, man. Did you expect this franchise to be where it's at right now as compared to where it was 20 years ago?
Definitely not. I mean, it's been tough because they kind of had to reboot the series a few times because of actors not wanting to come back and the studio not being sure if they can really make money off this. But I think ever since the fifth one, they haven't been able to stop because I feel like each movie from then on has just been bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And audiences, not counting last year, but audiences like I was talking earlier with somebody, when you go opening night to a Fast movie, you're going to be entertained. That's a theater experience I love going to, especially when you have a hype crowd laughing at all the jokes, being impressed by all the action and everything. Yes, it's ridiculous. Yes, it disobeys the laws of physics sometimes, but we love it. I love it. Like I said, like I'm very close to Agent with Jader, and I didn't necessarily see the first one in the theater, but that the first two movies, Fast One and Two Fast and Furious, especially since it took place in Miami, are movies that I saw a lot when I was growing up on cable, like all the time.
So yeah, I mean, think about like how this franchise has evolved. And Jader, I'll throw this to you. So you said this is something that you enjoyed when it first came out. Have you always been in love with these films?
I've seen every single Fast and Furious movie day of until I started watching screenings or bonus screeners. Then I obviously saw them before. Too Fast, Too Furious, the same thing. I saw it the very first night it came out. Tokyo Drift. Even with the with our characters coming back, being a whole new set of characters, I was still there because they had the Fast and the Furious right there front and center. So I was definitely there. The fourth one, Fast and Furious. We'll talk about titles in a bit, but I was there opening night as well. I think Fast 5 was the first one I got to see early on. Because of a buddy of mine, which was my guest that I took. It's his favorite franchise. We're obsessed with it. He had early screening for it, and he's like, "Dude, I got to take you to see this." So we saw it, and it just blew my mind the first time I saw 5.
Were you at the ride opening night?
Huh?
Were you at the Fast and Furious ride opening night?
No, the Fast and Furious ride is something I do not talk about. I actually was. I was in Universal Studios this weekend, and I skipped the ride because I hated so much because I was so disappointed with that ride when it first opened. I was expecting something completely different.
You don't want to relive that experience?
I've ridden it one time and I'm like, that's it. That was enough for me. They should shut this shit down and give me back Beetlejuice's Graveyard and all that stuff because I'm an OG fan and I missed the Beetlejuice show. But yeah, this franchise for me, it's something special. Like I said, I knew it was Point Break when I had first seen it because I had seen Point Break growing up, but I didn't care. I thought this was cooler. Until this day, I still think it's a better film than Point Break. I know it's a copycat.
I'm in. Yeah,
but I would watch Fast and Furious 100 times over than watching Point Break. That's just me. I know that is like a baffling and fucking blasphemous thing to say, but it's just my take on it. I love these characters. I love this world. And this world turned into, it went from street racing thieves to like super heroes, espionage, crazy antics and all that. But I'm all here for it.
I think also that's what's something that people are really drawn into is the characters, is the family aspect of it. This franchise did Avengers before Avengers. Let's bring a team together from previous movies and make it happen. And I think that's why Fast 5 is looked at as like one of the, to me, is one of the best action movies ever made, period. From start to finish, there's enjoyment, entertainment, all the way through. You have like the scene at the beginning, you have them like saving Dom and then driving off the bridge while they're robbing the cars on the train, and then all the way up to the end with the bank heist. Everything kind of works there, but when they bring all the characters in, you're like, this is cool. Why don't more franchises do that? And Marvel's just like waiting there. They're like, we got you guys next year. So I've always enjoyed the characters. I think I have to say I have a hot take here. Dom Toretto might be my least favorite character out of them all. I am really like not in on him. There's a lot of Vin Diesel in there, and of course because that's just I think Vin Diesel thinks he is Dom Toretto as he walks around every single day. But the rest of the characters think they're really enjoyable to see. Ludacris and Tyrese and Michelle Rodriguez and all these different actors grow with these characters. They do feel like family, and I think that's one of the better aspects of it. Bert, do you have a favorite character in this franchise?
A few actually. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Han, just because he just oozes like cool. Especially because, I mean, we'll see when we get to the rankings. Tokyo Drift is pretty high for me, and it's really because of Han. He's really one of the most unsung characters. I mean, obviously, I love Toretto, love Brian, but yeah, Han is really a character that I really liked a lot.
Okay, Jader, you got a favorite character? Brian. Hands down, Paul Walker's character is my favorite character in the franchise. Right behind him is actually Ludacris's character, Tej Parker. Love him, man. In Too Fast, Too Furious, loved his character. Then maybe because I was a big Ludacris fan and just seeing him in there was fun, but then loved where his character went from that to where he is now in the franchise. What an arc, huge arc, you know. And he just, you know, Ludacris for me is just a highly like underrated person as is, like in the rap game, acting wise. His comedic timing is great, you know. So he would be a close second, but this is something that for me it's always been Paul Walker's character, with the exception of him in Too Fast, Too Furious. That's the least favorite of the adventure that he went on. Like him, the way he was in that film, what for me wasn't it. I feel like he really came out of the shell in Fast and Furious. Like from 4 and on, he was just a badass character.
See, I think Fast 5 was the first one I ever saw, because this wasn't a franchise I jumped on till later. Hobbs has always been my favorite. Dwayne Johnson's great, and I love how they go back.
I wasn't including him because he wasn't from the original, at least from
he counts
2 films. But if he counts, then he's definitely up there. I will be mentioning The Rock in a little bit.
So let's get into our rankings of all these films. We're not going to go into too much detail about it, but we're going to at least go through them all. And before we do this, I kind of want to go through the titles, because here's the thing. This franchise is fun. It's got a lot going for it. Whoever's doing these titles is so up and down. It's crazy. So we start number 1, The Fast and Furious. Perfect. Great title. I'm in. Next movie, Too Fast, Too Furious. Great play on words. I'm in. All right. That's creative. We're going to put the 2 in there. Awesome. Maybe you should have done that again later. Fast and Furious, Tokyo Drift. That's intriguing. Okay. Another great title. I'm in. Fast and Furious. We did that in 2001. We mean Fast and Furious. You're going to take out the thes in them, and that's what makes it good? No, I'm not in on that. Fast 5, awesome. Fast 5 is a great title. Amazing title. There's nothing bad about that movie. All right. Fast and Furious 6. Okay. I know what number it is. You couldn't really play on the number 6. Fine. It's not a great title. We're kind of dipping here. Furious 7. A little lazy, but it rolls off the tongue. Okay. Furious 7's fine. Fate of the Furious is the biggest culprit. Like, it's called Fate of the Furious. They don't put F8 of the Furious. They actually call it Fate of the Furious. It's awful. Like, whose decision was this? Clearly, you guys wanted to incorporate the number 8 into it, but someone said, nah, let's just use the word and not even put the number 8 in the actual title. Terrible. And then Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw. Okay, I like that. Until you give me the title of this new movie, F9, The Fast Saga. Have we ever called this The Fast Saga in our entire lives? No. And there's no Furious in there.
It's like at the bottom of the screen where we would call it the Fast and Furious. It's a franchise.
Exactly. No one's ever called it The Fast Saga. What are we doing here, guys? It's not the Infinity Saga. It's The Fast Saga. Get out of here. Call it Fast Furious Presents F9 if you want to do that, because you just did that with Hobbs and Shaw. So up and down, just like I feel like these movies. So let's get into it, guys. Bert, I want to start with you. Let's do your rankings. Let's go 8-1 or 9-1, whatever you want to do.
9-1. Okay. So my least favorite is Fast 8, just because of the plot.
For the title alone.
Really. Yeah. Then I have number 9, I have Too Fast, Too Furious. Number 8, I have Fast 4. I'm not calling it Fast and Furious. I'm calling it Fast 4.
That's a better
7, I have Hobbs and Shaw. 6, I have Fast 9. 5, I have Fast 7. 4, I have Tokyo Drift. 3, I have Fast 6. And then 2, I have the Fast and the Furious. And obviously, you know what number 1 is.
Yeah, I mean, number 1's the go.
Yeah.
Jader, what do you got?
Am I including 9?
Let's slide out 9 for a second.
All right, so number 9 ranking, Too Fast, Too Furious, which hurts to say because I'm from Miami and I loved the movie when I first saw it so much because it came out the same year as Bad Boys 2, right? Yeah. And they were both obviously shot. It was in 2000. It was 2002. Saw them both the very first day. And I just loved seeing, I loved seeing just Miami getting represented, right? So anytime when we shot in Miami or mentions Miami, I'm a very happy person. But the film itself, with time and rewatching it over and over, for me it is the weakest in the series, right? So I have Too Fast, Too Furious. Then at number 8, I have Fast 8 because I don't call it anything else. 7, I have Fast 4. I have 6, I have Tokyo Drift. 5, I have Hobbs and Shaw. This is the most blasphemous thing for me to say, but I have number 4, I have Fast and Furious 1. Then I have number 3, Fast 6. Number 2, Furious 7. And number 1 is obviously Fast 5.
Obviously.
Ah.
It's not even close.
Yeah.
But yeah, so all right, so I'm gonna jump in with my rankings real quick, guys. Oh, actually, I'll just do it as I go through. Number 10 for me is Tokyo Drift. I put up my whole list up on the page a couple of days ago. Number 10 is Tokyo Drift because it's the only one without the family. You know, it's Han and Lucas, but anything with Lucas Black, I just
But
can't.
it actually had car racing in it, man, and it introduces us to. That's why I love this movie because it actually focuses on what the original was. It was street racing with a little bit of obviously a little action, little thievery, and all that stuff. So this one brought it back. That's why I have mad respect for Tokyo Drift. Again, I am not trying to be like argumentative whatsoever, but.
It's my least favorite just because of Lucas Black, I think. He leads the movie, and it's not fun. I don't enjoy
It's not his movie, man. It's Han's movie.
It's his movie. Number 9, Too Fast, Too Furious. I think it's like this was Paul Walker showing that he can be like the lead of these films and carry them. And I also really enjoy the last car chase scene where all the cars come out of the garage at the end in Miami. I think that's a lot of fun. So I enjoy that one. Number 8 is a movie called Better Luck Tomorrow. For Fast and Furious fans, you guys need to know about this movie. This is the Han prequel movie that came out in 2002 where I don't know what the actor's name is, but he plays a character named Han. And
it's not Sung Kang?
Sung Kang, yeah. He's in this movie playing a character named Han and is directed by Justin Lin. And they've officially come out and said this is a prequel. This is what Han was in high school. And then you see where he is now, obviously, in Tokyo Drift and all of these films. So if you're a Fast and Furious fan, go see Better Luck Tomorrow. It's on Amazon Prime right now. Check it out. Number 7, Fate of the Furious. Having Dom as the villain is not great, but the submarine was cool at the end. And also it's a terrible title. Number 6, Fast and Furious, Fast 4, whatever you want to call it. I think it's kind of forgettable. I really don't remember what happens except for Letty dying at the beginning. And that, or sort of dying.
The original cast. That was kind of.
Kind of. It's kind of, I feel like when you look back at all of them, it might be probably the most forgettable. Like that's the one people are like, I guess. Number 5 is Fast and Furious 6. I think that's the movie was riding high after Fast 5, and I think 6 had a great villain in it. This team mirrors our team. I love that aspect of it. Number 4 is the original, the Fast and Furious. Still holds up, like you were saying earlier, Jader. I think that it's got a lot going for it, and I would definitely see it over Point Break. Number 3 is Hobbs and Shaw. I think Hobbs and Shaw gets everything right. It's as cheesy and goofy as we need for these franchises, but also a lot of action, a lot of cool characters. Like I really want to see another Hobbs and Shaw. You introduce, spoiler alert, Kevin Hart and Ryan Reynolds and Vanessa Kirby and Isaac Gonzalez. I think there's an Idris Elba. I think there's a lot of great characters in this. I would love to. I think the ultimate conclusion should be Hobbs' team versus the family. Just put that in Fast 11 and make that.
Well, that's happening in real life.
It is happening in real life. Actually, no, it's got to go. Fast 10's got to be the dinosaurs with Jurassic Park, and then 11 is Hobbs versus.
Someone mentioned it to me because I mentioned to them that I had seen the Fast 9 already.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I heard it. I heard Jurassic Park crossover. I'm like, A, that's never gonna happen, and B, I would fucking like carrying the shit out of that. Like, I do not want to see that shit.
I heard it's more believable than F9, but we'll get to that. Furious 7 is number 2. I think that's a great movie. I think that opening, just seeing what Statham is capable of after he sees his brother in the hospital and then walking out of the hospital to see all the damage he did is amazing. And then obviously everything that happens with Paul Walker, and it gets you. And then Fast 5 is the GOAT. Like it's never going to – I don't think it's going to get touched. One of the best action movies of the 21st century, if not the best. So
It's
those
amazing.
are our rankings. I think we kind of differ on some of the earlier films, but for the most part, I think we would all say that we enjoy these newer films as opposed.
What the franchise became.
Yes.
Obviously, it's what I'm, and it sucks, man. It's just I'm a sucker for those type of films, man. I love over the top action and just espionage films, and this is what they're giving us. I thought the original concept for Fast and Furious, even though again it did bite off Point Break, and instead of surfers, it's race cars. But I was attracted to that world so much. Like I like the street racing in it. I like the music. The soundtrack to that movie was awesome. Like it was a lot of things just going for it. That I'm like, man, this is great. Then we got the sequel and so on and so forth. So taken from where it started to where it went, there was no way that they were not going to keep me as a fan. And every time they just gave us a little bit more with these characters, I wanted to spend more time with them.
Yeah.
So
I mean, Bert, you kind of feel the same way that as these movies got went on and on, the formula kind of got figured out.
Yeah, I just feel like they accepted. Like this is what we are, ridiculous action. Villain doesn't really matter, but the cranking up the action after each film, like they weren't afraid of that. They just embraced it each time.
And everyone's been saying the next stop they got to go is space, and I guess that's supposed to happen in this movie based on the trailer. So let's jump into F9. Bert, you kind of told us where that ranks in your rankings. You said around 7, right? Yeah, so
number 6, I think. Yeah.
Number 6, and Jader, where would you put F9?
It's number 10.
Number 10. Oh, okay. So let's jump in.
This is bottom of the barrel for me for Fast and Furious movies, personally.
Okay, so we're about 21 and a half minutes in. So let's do this. F9, the Fast Saga. Jader, let's start with you then, man. You hate this movie. Why?
That's the thing. I don't know if I hate it. I like this franchise. You get me? This movie just really upset me. Like I understand escapism, and I know we all appeal to the absurdity in these films, but at some point, like there's some lines that you're like, all right, man. And I guess I don't know if I'm just tapped out. And I don't think I am, because I do want to see this franchise. I don't want to say keep going, but I don't want it to end. If Fast 9 is the last movie, I'd be really pissed. I'm really looking forward to Fast 10 just so they can kind of fix it, right? So we get, obviously, directed by Justin Lin. He did 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9, right?
Okay.
Cool. Great cars, great location, insane stunts, like unbelievable, and I mean that in the most literal possible term ever. But I love these movies because again, escapism. It's mindless fun, and you just get into that theater, you leave your brain at the door, and you're just watching this shit, this super team, super nobodies or whatever, just do their thing, and then they're working with they're like government agents or whatever. But this movie is laughable. Even in serious scenes, I was cracking up because the dialogue was just so corny and cheesy, and there's shit that just, I mean, I don't mean to fucking spoil shit, but Vin Diesel literally pulls down a building with 2 chains. Like, get the fuck out of here!
No,
mind, Bert. Like minor spoilers and like whatever. And I always expect the ridiculousness of these films. Like I like that, but it just reached this point where I don't care. I think or thought John Cena did not work whatsoever. I didn't like his character whatsoever.
What about Charlize coming back for her second film?
So those scenes, while I was watching the film, she's not in it too much. I liked it. I liked the first 2 scenes. There's a third scene that she's in that I was like, whatever about. Right? Overall, I feel like those scenes, I'm like, oh, I actually like that. Like how she's handling these situations, right? But Whatever,
So
man.
Jader's off of this. Bert, you seemed a little more warm, a little more positive on this film. Can you see where he's coming from, and how do you feel about this?
No, I can understand because I felt a little bit of the same. Like if for me, it's it's in the middle of the pack, but by no means did I think it was horrible. I definitely liked it more than the last one. But for me, like I said, this one it was just fun. The action was really good. Even though some of it was ridiculous, and saying that after 8 movies of, or let's say 4 movies where the action's already kind of ridiculous, they kind of take it to another level, even
Yeah.
more.
Mm.
But for me, it was fine. I actually really like that certain characters got their time to shine, especially not having the time in the previous films. Obviously, from the trailer, Han, you find
He's
out
on the
what happens.
poster. Yeah.
Which,
He's on the
okay,
poster.
so
Yeah,
let me just piggyback off of that. That is probably the biggest spoiler that you can give us. Obviously, had you not, but look, he's literally right here in the corner. Like you see him in our screen.
He's right here.
Yeah, and for me, that's one of the things that bothered me. Like, there's nothing to spoil in this film. If you've seen a Fast and Furious movie before, or if you've seen the trailer to this movie, there's no surprise. You already know where they're going. And personally, for me, the whole Han is alive thing, I'm like, all right, cool. They do this. They've done this before with this one.
Letty. Yeah.
Right here. Like, these are the two that survived death. And whatever, it's fine. You gave me the explanation. It's fine. I felt like it was just weak, and they really didn't have any really good idea to how to bring him back. Picture like whatever you want in your head on how he's gonna come back. You're probably right. You're probably right, because that's how he came back. For me, it was just so weak. And so like they're like, dude, we have no idea on how to bring him back, but we got to bring him back. And honestly, there was no need to do that. I don't even think he was a major piece of the film. Like they could have written that for any other character, or made up a character to get from point A to point B.
So Han's back, and they can bring Letty back, but they can't bring Gal Gadot back. Like Wonder Woman didn't survive the plane crash.
That's what I'm saying, man. And you know what? It's funny because I was watching.
She just fell in blackness. Like we don't know what happened.
No, man. Yeah, she got sucked into Themyscira, dude.
So let's talk about the villain then. It didn't sound like Jader liked John Cena at all in this. Bert, does John Cena work in this film? Because he's kind of like an actor that has his moments when you put him in the right stuff. So is this the right franchise for him?
I would say that I want to see what more he has to do.
You heard that? That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't horrible. He just felt weird with everyone else.
He didn't feel like he fit in. I'm telling you. I'm watching it and I was like, and everybody's gonna be waiting for this freaking scene to happen. The scene that everybody obviously wants is the Diesel versus Cena. She was so disappointing to me, man. It was weak. Too fast.
Because Diesel, as we learned in other reports, can't lose fights. And that kind of brings me to my next point. Some characters weren't in this movie. I haven't seen this film, by the way. Some characters aren't in this movie, including Hobbs and Shaw, who just came out 2 years ago. Was The Rock missed in this? Did we miss The Rock?
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, and that's why I said that I haven't mentioned The Rock, but I will mention it. His presence, and you remember, look at our top films that we just mentioned. I'm going from 1 to 5. Fast 5, Fast 7, Fast 6, Fast 1, Hobbs and Shaw. This man was in 4 out of my top 5. All right.
He led one of those.
And exactly it. And it's not for nothing. And again, we fell in love with these characters prior to him even showing up, but he just adds to this franchise, which I thought Cena, coming from the background that he has, with the wrestling and all that, I'm not the biggest Cena fan, to be completely honest with you. In the wrestling world, yes, but in films, he just hasn't hit for me, except for Trainwreck. That's the only film that I'm like, man, he did really good. I didn't even like Blockers. There's a lot of films that the Marine, all that stuff. It's just not for me.
Suicide Squad looks like it's got promise with him.
I'm hoping that he does great. And again, I'm not rooting against him. I'm actually rooting for him. He just hasn't hit for me. But I felt like The Rock was definitely missing in this franchise. He just brings this aura to this franchise. and I didn't have it. I honestly, I wasn't bored watching the movie's not boring. It's very entertaining. It didn't, as a big fan of this franchise, there was no surprises. You know what's gonna happen. It's very predictable. And it just got too ridiculous even for me, where I'm like, this is just not a good film. And I was trying, and again, with all said and done, I still didn't hate it. Like I'm more angry at it than
Do you feel the need to go see it again in theaters?
I'm gonna watch it in theater again and go see that Jurassic Park Dominion preview. I'll tell you that much. But I mean, I do want to see it in an IMAX or Dolby theater, because our screening we didn't have that luxury, which was odd, because every single time that we've had, we've gotten a screening or something, especially now with all these movies, we've been getting great, not packed theaters, but a great theater to see it in. So I was really disappointed when we didn't have it. And this is definitely an action-packed film that has that needs to be seen that way. And I don't think it's going to change my experience overall, but it might make it just slightly better. Another thing that I will say about this movie is that it literally touches, I think, every single Fast and Furious film. There's things that they mentioned that happens in part 1, that happens in that take place in 9, 2, 3, 4. Like every single film gets touched on by something. If you've never seen a single Fast and Furious movie, normally I'd tell you really don't. You can start the franchise from 5, 6, 7, 8, and then you'll be fine. This one you would kind of have to watch all of them. Just even for the slightest little lines where you're like, that's what happened in Fast and Furious, like 4, that's the thing that he mentioned in Fast and Furious 1 that went down. So it's little things like that where this is the only one that you will be completely lost if you just start from 9,
So it's not a very welcoming movie for new audiences. Quick question. One of my favorite characters from these past couple of movies has been Kurt Russell. Is he back? Do we get to see Mr. Nobody in this film?
You want the short answer or the long answer? Yes.
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 Okay, because I got this is the Jader and Kyle show. We do casting what ifs on here. Do you guys know about the casting what if for Kurt Russell for Mr. Nobody from Furious 7?
I do not.
No?
No.
There's a very famous actor passed on the role of Mr. Nobody. Denzel Washington. They offered Denzel Washington the role of Mr. Nobody, and he turned it down because it wasn't a big enough role at the time, even though they promised him in 8 they would give him a bigger role, and he still decided not to do it. Could you imagine Denzel Washington in these movies? Like, Kurt Russell's great in these films. I love his character of Mr. Nobody. But Denzel stepped in there. Like, that's
a whole point. Yeah. That would be badass. I had no idea about that.
Toretto, I can guarantee you 99.9% of the time.
That's not bad at all.
Pretty good, Bert.
It's hard.
Pretty good, man.
So Bert, so you hear what Jader has to say. You hear how disappointed he is. I mean, do you feel the need to go see this movie again?
I mean, yeah. I mean, more for the same reason, because I didn't get the true, honest experience that you should see this movie in. But I'm definitely going to see it again because, movies are back. So definitely going to support and make sure that this movie gets seen. Because I feel like this movie, even though Jader may not like as much,
general audience,
I think general audiences are going to eat this up. Like, they're going to love this. Because this, after a year, I think for this movie particularly, it's going to be one that a lot of people are going to go see.
This is something. No, and it is. It is. I have family members, man, uncles and cousins that don't really go to the movies and found out. My mom called me yesterday, just a little short story. And she's like, "Yeah, I need you to do this." I'm like, "I'm actually on my way to go see Fast and Furious. I'll do it for you after I come back. I should be out around 4:00. She's like, "All right, cool." She ended up telling some of my cousins, uncles, or whatever, I guess. They asked where I was, and they've all texted me. They're like, "Is it worth it? Should I go see it? I can't wait. I love these movies." And I lied to them, honestly, unless they're watching this show now. But I told them all to go support this movie, man. I'm like, go watch it, man. It's a lot of fun. so on and so forth, because I do want them. I need a Fast 10 or a Fast FX. They don't call it FX, man.
Oh, they will. It's got to be FX the Fast Saga now. Every movie from here on out has to be called the Fast Saga because you decided to throw that in there.
Look. If we're gonna be completely honest, I feel like this franchise should have been done at 7. 7 had just the proper sense. It's the second best. Imagine ending in such a you didn't top, the general or the mass audience's favorite film, but you end on such a high note and such a beautiful tribute to Paul Walker. That should have been the end of these movies, right?
Well, just do spin-offs from there. Like, you can keep this franchise going with spin-offs. Like, we're talking about a Dom Toretto prequel just this week. I don't need that at all. I don't want to see where he came from. Let him be.
You want to know what's crazy? Dom Toretto now feels like Xander Cage to me, like the Triple X character. That's what's going on now. Like, Triple X is known to be like, Secret Service, all that shit. That's what I feel like Dom Toretto's character ended up. That's where he's at now. He doesn't like. It's just things that it's not even. And let me tell you one thing that I did love: the stunts in these movies are incredible. Like, there's the final scene at the end when all this shit is going down. Just awesome stuff. And I'm like, man, I wonder how they're just flinging cars left and right everywhere. Man, it was awesome. It's just.
So, like, at the end of it all, then, is this movie kind of necessary to the rest of the franchise? Like, is it at the end of 11, right? Because we're talking about going to 11 films, and then that's when they're saying they're actually going to stop it at that point. Does this feel just like a roadblock?
This doesn't feel like a Fast movie to me. It feels like, it feels rushed, and there's no pun intended in that, to be completely honest with you. It almost killed the franchise for me. Like, if I didn't care enough about these characters to want them to see this, go on this one more adventure or whatever, like I could have just hung it up here and be like, hey man, that's it. It's just it kind of goes like, I don't want to compare it to like Dexter season, I don't know, it's 7 or 8. But the ending of Dexter for me was so bad that I tell everybody, hey man, watch Dexter until X point. So you don't have to, or kind of like Game of Thrones. Hey man, watch Game of Thrones. It's a fantastic show. Don't watch that last season because it just kind of like taints everything that happens with this franchise. And again, I know this movie's getting positive reviews. It's just, for me personally, didn't do it for me. And I was trying to go in there. I went in there not knowing anything about it. To a certain extent, I knew Han was back, but that's as far as that's as much spoiler as I needed, where I was like, all right, I'm good. So I'm watching this, and the whole time I'm trying to like it, but I'm literally laughed out loud. There was maybe 12 people in the theater in very serious scenes, and I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's just things that I wasn't buying, dialogue I wasn't buying, certain things where it didn't work for me. And I was freaking out the whole time because I'm like, please, like I'm in my head, it was like an obligation. Like, you have to give this movie a positive review. You have to, because it's a franchise that you love. And as the day went on, I was just thinking about it. And then Steph hadn't seen anything from 5 and on. So we got to see 6 last night. And just watching 6 made me even more pissed off about 9. Cause I'm like, this is such a great movie. Like, they went completely off the rails with this one, and not in a good way. And I was excited to have Justin Lin back, but I felt like I don't know. Like, I know, because there's certain, they're very self-aware in this movie of the craziness. They even mentioned that there's a line that they mentioned where they're like, man, we've gone through some crazy ass shit, like, so they teeter-totter with, hey, we know that we're over the top. But then they try to bring like seriousness. It felt kind of soap opera, like a soap opera. Like the acting, I don't know, man. Not recommended. Sorry.
I mean that to continue what he was saying, like that character, I actually liked that he was saying that in the movie because it made it like kind of self-aware, kind of like, hey, we don't realize.
Oh, I'm not saying that didn't work. I felt like that worked, but then they I don't know. It's just I felt like it had like I didn't know what it wanted to be. Like it honestly was teeter-tottering with both worlds, and then it just felt completely on one side. Felt one-sided.
So
And
I was looking
the
at
screening
Go ahead,
the
Bert.
screening that I was at too had the same kind of effect. Like it was pretty packed because it was like press and general audience. But it was the same thing. Like during those scenes where it's supposed to be serious, very heartfelt moment, there was like laughter and like, oh my god, yeah, right. Like and it kind of takes you away from the movie. But
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. It just depends on your level of tolerance or whatever for stupid stuff.
But I was trying again. This is coming again. Someone that loves this franchise, and I didn't want to. It wasn't like I'm gonna hate this movie to hate it at all. It was the opposite. I was telling myself, you gotta love this movie because they haven't missed yet. They had, for me, even 8. I didn't. This was the first one that I walked out of where I'm like, I don't think I care to see this one again unless I absolutely have to. Even 8 that I know is on everybody's tier, I walked out of there and I'm like, it's not as good as the other ones, but it's still, I'm still in for it. I can't wait for 9. The only reason I'm waiting for 10 is because I want them to undo 9, like fix it, and that's coming again. 8 is not even it's not in my bottom. I mean, it's in the bottom tier for me, but I honestly didn't come out of 8 saying like that was a piece of shit or nowhere near. This is the very first Fast movie that I come out saying what I'm saying now.
So this franchise has thrown out some very ridiculous things, but we kind of enjoy them. And I kind of want to throw some stuff at you guys, and you tell me if there's something in this movie that's more ridiculous than some of these other things. Okay. So, let's start with Fate of the Furious. Zombie cars. Is there something more ridiculous in this movie than zombie cars? Just give me yes or no's. Yes. All right, that's a yes for Jader. Yes for Bert. Okay. And Fast and Furious 6, Dom Toretto jumps across a highway.
I fucking love that scene.
He jumps across the highway, grabs Letty, and lands perfectly on a car on the other side. And not injured at all. Yes? Okay. All right.
Yes.
Furious 7. The Rock gets shot out of gets exploded out of a building that's about, they say 4 stories, it looks like 6, and lands on a truck on his back and only breaks his arm. Something more ridiculous than that? Yes?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah? Okay. Furious 7. I think the most ridiculous stuff is in Furious 7.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel just drives a car off a cliff and it goes like flying down like for a while. Comes out not injured at all. Something more ridiculous?
Spoiler alert. Yes.
Yes.
Yes? All right, I got one more then. This is also Furious 7. And I think this is the cream of the crop for ridiculous stuff. On a parking garage, Vin Diesel Toretto is fighting Jason Statham and just steps on the parking garage. It's the entire thing to collapse. Yes, I am the streets. Is there something?
I want to say yes because there is, but that one was taking the cake for me as well. I'm not gonna lie to you. So how I just laughed, I probably laughed harder the first time I saw that scene in the theater because I was like, come on. But I was there and I was eating it up because everything else was working around that scene. Mm-hmm. Everything else was working. You're right. This one has things where it just left me speechless. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Like you didn't, I can't because again, it's spoilery, but it's just, yes, this movie honestly beats all those things.
Okay. Wow.
Ridiculousness. Absolutely.
The foot stomp makes me laugh every time. I love it. Okay. And one quick little thing. I'm a big fan of The Ringer and Bill Simmons. I looked at IMDb. He is popped up in there as like a pit crew guy. Is he in this movie? Bill Simmons, NBA analyst.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I missed them. I miss Bad Bunny too.
No. I know. I didn't.
Bad Bunny's supposed to be in the movie as well, and I miss Bad Bunny. There's a lot of cameos in the film throughout.
Cardi B,
a lot of reggaeton artists and things like that. A lot of hip hop artist. There's a surprise MMA fighter in
She was
there.
funny.
Yeah, there's some cameos in the film. But I miss Bad Bunny. I didn't see Bad Bunny.
So it sounds like this is a recommend if you are a fan of the franchise, but not a strong recommend. It sounds like a let's just get to the next movie as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, if I could fast forward to Fast 10, I would right now. I promise you. I'm hoping my mind changes. My mind changes about, again, I came out loving Too Fast, Too Furious. Now it finally got debunked for the worst film for me in the franchise due to this one.
There you go, Miami.
Yeah, thank God, at least, right?
Yeah.
But it's just I guess again, I have seen every single one of these films and more. Fast 9, I've seen it well over 10, 15. I mean, not Fast 9, Fast 5, over 10, 15 times, where I've seen, Fast 4 maybe a good 3 to 4 times. So I've seen them multiple times. Again, your seatbelts. Oh, yes, dude. Yes. Holy shit. I am stealing that from you. That is so great.
If they don't do that,
I am doing the petition for that right now. I am writing your seatbelts. God, I don't even want to speak no more. That's it. I'm done. Fast 9 sucked. Sorry, guys. Not recommended.
I got one more ridiculous thing I want to throw out there. Is there anything in this movie more ridiculous than Vin Diesel trying to convince us that he's as tall as The Rock and can beat him in a fight?
He's not.
No, that takes the cake.
You know what's funny? Cena in this movie, like Cena now, even though his physique is not as big as he was when he was wrestling, it's still bigger than half the people he's working with. And in this movie, like there's a scene at the end where he's like face to face with Vin Diesel, and it's like, bro, like Vin's not even like when Vin has that effect now where like he used to be the biggest guy in the movie, and then The Rock came, and then he's just like huge, and then now Cena's in it, and like he's supposed to be his brother, whatever, and it's just like Dom definitely got the weaker part of the genetics.
Quick little spoiler.
Cena is huge, bro.
There is a bigger person than both Cena and Vin Diesel in this movie.
There's a what?
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry. I said there's a bigger person that's bigger than Cena and Vin Diesel in this movie. Yeah.
And is Boban in it from John Wick 3?
But yeah, man. I mean, again, I wanted to, man. I really did, and I thought I was gonna end up recommending it. Just popcorn fun film, which it is, but I can't do that to you guys. I care about you, man. I care about you. I just can't.
AMC is offering all you can eat popcorn this week, so maybe.
Yeah. I mean, again, go support support the theaters. If you watch this show, you're obviously a fan of movies. I know you're not a fan of our mugs. So any way you can, go support. There are plenty of films. If you don't want to see Fast and Furious, that we can definitely recommend. Just check out the channel. We have some reviews up. But if you're there and you just want to have fun or have a laugh, go into this movie thinking it's a comedy. It might help you. I swear to God. It's kind of spoofy. I'm telling you. But
and I guess stay after the credits.
And there's definitely a mid-credit scene that I got hyped for. It is worthy. It's nothing like the mid-credit scene in Furious 6 when the introduction with Jason Statham, that for me that was top tier shit, man.
What about Eva Mendes coming in?
Eva Mendes one with retrieving Letty, that was awesome because we didn't know where the franchise was going, so that was a holy shit moment as well. It's not that tier, but it is entertaining. It honestly leaves you like oh shit, So
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. It is an oh shit moment. But I mean, again, have some fun. Turn off your brain. Expect a lot of, like, if you've seen the franchise, they crank it up.
Are the Minions in this movie? Universal owns them both.
No, I don't think that's happening yet, dude.
Not yet.
I think that's how they end it for Fast 11.
Okay, we'll get there eventually. But that's going to do it for the Fast and Furious for our review for F9. There was another movie that came out about 2 weeks ago now that we all had a great time with, and I guess no one else did because no one has seen it. And that's going to be In the Heights. Jader, if you want to mark this down. In the Heights is the latest movie from John M. Chu. It came out HBO Max about 2 weeks ago. It's in theaters right now. It's a musical written by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who did Hamilton. This was his first one that was a Broadway play, and then now it's brought to the big screen. And guys, this movie's incredible. And I'm really shocked at the lack of perception this is getting from audiences. It feels like people just want to save their money for other things because the numbers on HBO Max came out as well, and people aren't watching it on there. So Warner Brothers really pushed this. They really want us to be a big hit, and they have something on their hands. This movie is incredible. There's so much brightness and liveliness and culture all mixed into this film that just makes you feel good about yourself and about, community and diversity and all these things that really, like, it's something that as a moviegoer you don't feel very often, but when you have a musical that's tied in, that feels very relevant to today, as far as, like, spreading love and all that, chasing your dreams. I think In the Heights is one of the best musicals to come out in a long time, and no one's seen it. And Bert, I want to throw this to you. You saw In the Heights. How did you feel about it?
I loved it. I mean, literally, if you go on my Spotify right now, I've been bumping the soundtrack, like, for the from the film, like, all the time. I've seen it at this point probably at least 4 to 5 times already because I also have HBO Max. But I saw it in the theater twice. Initially at the screening that I was with Jader, and also about 2 days after that, I went by myself just to see it on a Saturday. But I mean, for me, with my background, being Cuban, Puerto Rican, I mean, I loved it. It was great to see a story about people that in a community that I'm familiar with, in positions and jobs that are relatable, that are real, that are natural, that don't feel like different or what we're used to getting back then. All the performances I felt were great. I mean, you can read more about it. I wrote a review for the site that's up now, but it was just great. I mean, there's me and Jader can talk about it, but there's a particular reason why a lot of people are also disliking the movie. But like I said, I don't really. If you really want to have a wonderful experience, if you haven't been to the movies in a while, this is the movie that you need to go see in the theater, because this is a movie that I feel like anyone can relate to and watch.
Jader, how'd you feel walking out of it?
Same thing. Actually, yeah, Bert mentioned it. Him and I saw it. Well, we were in the same room. We didn't see it together. But this is, again, it's no mystery here. I'm not the biggest musical fan. I've found some gems along the way. La La Land being my favorite. I think this climbed up the charts, man. Let me tell you, I absolutely loved this movie. Not knowing what I was really getting into, I was more of a hype man for Lin-Manuel because of his work and just his Latino pride. And that's something that I take, just like I love my Miami movies or whatever, just anything with Latin people in it, man, just, giving us the limelight just for a minute. I'm going to take pride with that. And I feel like they hit every single beat. And again, no pun intended, they just hit it with this movie. They knock it out of the park, in my opinion. When it comes to, coming, being an illegal immigrant, working your ass off, to chase that dream of yours, the American dream, right? And having that, and then being told that you're not able to go to school or not being able to vote or have a driver's license and, this and that, you coming from that background, this movie just hits. There's scenes where, they're talking, they're dancing or talking and singing around the kitchen, and they're opening the cazuelas up and all that stuff. And you just see that food. And I'm like, I taste that food.
Yep.
I can smell that food. It smells like grandma's cooking, you know. They hit those beats. Then they go to a club and they're dancing, you know, and they're dancing the salsa. They're just hitting, and those scenes are just so beautifully directed, beautifully choreographed. The sing, it's just, you know, it's such a hell of a film that it pisses me off, man, that it's not getting the love that it deserves. You know, it's a beautiful film. But let me tell you something. I actually showed it to my aunt and my grandma. I started it and then I had to run. So I only got to see around 25, 30 minutes of the beginning of the movie with them. And movie ended. I didn't talk to them for like another 2 days. And I asked, I'm like, hey, what'd you think of the film? My aunt's like, I didn't like it. She goes, I didn't hate it. She goes, I couldn't understand a lot of what they're saying. And it has to do with the hip hop. That's what it was. Again, my aunt, she was not born here, but, you know, she speaks perfect English. She's not that old. She's like 51, 52. But she says that they were, you know, when they were, you know, rapping, it was too much, that she was like trying to see it, that she had to put like subtitles on it. And even like reading, she goes, it was uncomfortable trying to read the subtitles and watching what they were doing. So she's like, the hip hop part is what took her out of it. I'm like, man, that's what I loved about it. Yeah. But again, this is completely different backgrounds. Like, she's not a hip hop person. She listens to, her music was like 80s freestyles and things like that, you know? So she told me, she goes, it's a good movie. She goes, but I didn't see the wow that you told me about. So I wonder if that's the general census, with just because a lot of Latin people are talking about it. You know, my mom knew about this movie when I told her, hey, I'm going to go watch, because I took my little brother to see it. And my little brother, again, growing up here and growing up in a hip hop community, not community, but like, you know, listening to hip hop and all that stuff. He's like, I told him, hey, do you want to go see a movie? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. I was like, all right, cool. About 30 minutes before we had to head out, I was like, oh yeah, by the way, it's a musical. And then he's like, God damn it. Like, you know, I'm stuck now. So we went, and he's seen it, I think, twice already in its entirety. He really liked it. He got out of the movie saying like, no, this movie was amazing. I didn't think I was going to like a musical, but it was the influence of the hip hop and the Spanish culture that is just our world, you know? So I wonder if that's what it is, like the older generation just not liking it because of the hip hop influence, which I don't think it should have anything to do with it, but maybe that's what it is. Because again, I also invited some friends to go see this movie, and my friend's mom was older, and she absolutely loved it. She even told me, she was, I'm buying a ticket and I'm watching it this week. So I don't know. From my family, that's the report I got back from them, was just that they didn't like the whole hip hop thing. She goes, I like music. Her thing was more also, she goes, I love music, but I don't want to watch a musical like that. Like, she's like, especially the way that they were, you know, doing the rhymes and things and like that. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I guess it didn't work for you. I'm like, I think that honestly, it's up there with the best movie of the year for me. It's teeter-tottering between this and A Quiet Place 2.
I think that's a generation gap right there, because there's a lot of just people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and up who just don't like hip hop, and it's just one of those things where you're never going to break through to them. They're just not into that type of music. But the people who would like that type of music are people our age and younger who really enjoy hip hop and the whole flow, the rhyming, the good beats, stuff like that. And like people who aren't seeing this movie because they don't like musicals. And I think that's kind of getting to the heart of the problem here, is that the wrong audience is seeing this, when the right audience, if they just, you know, gave a musical a chance, they would know exactly what they're in for, and they probably enjoy it. Let's jump into the characters real quick, the actors. Anthony Ramos is a guy that hasn't done much yet. You might have seen him in A Star Is Born, and then obviously in Hamilton from Disney Plus last year. He gets to lead this movie, his first time leading a movie. I think this guy has the charisma and the charm that you need to be a movie star. He is incredible. And I like walking around carrying a name like Usnavi, which the way that they show how he got his name is incredible.
Which is a common Latin joke, dude.
Yes.
There's so many things that they just throw in this film, where it just clicks right back to home, man. I was like watching this movie. I'm like, oh my God, they didn't do that. Oh my God, they didn't do that. Steph mentioned something that she's like, the only thing to what made this movie a perfect film was to see somebody get hit with a chancleta. Like that's the only thing that's missing to be complete. She goes, they again, I said this earlier, it just hits every single beat when it comes to the food, the dancing, the again.
Well, I want to get back to the acting and the characters. Like Ramos, I think is great. Corey Hawkins is a guy that I've always thought is a great actor. Like someone who just doesn't get recognized, but every movie he's in, when he gets a chance to lead or has a significant role, he's the most memorable part. And I feel like, Straight Outta Compton, him as Dr. Dre was my favorite character in the film. And then just like they gave him a 24 series, that wasn't really his path. But in this movie, he gets to showcase all his talents. He can be charming and likable, but he can sing, he can dance. He's got a lot of talent to him. And I feel like, to me, I love his, like, my favorite song in this film is 96,000. I love how it's a great showstopper.
Singing is incredible, dude.
Yes. And he kind of gets it started with the singing after the little rap at the beginning. And I always, that plays in my head constantly for the for real though part. I think he's great in this. The other two female leads, I don't know their names off the top of my head. It's a girl who plays Vanessa and Nia. I think they are just
Melissa Barrera and
Leslie Grace.
Two up-and-coming actresses who I want to see more of. I want to see exactly what they have to do after this. I think they have all the talent in the world as well. Jimmy Smits, and then obviously I don't know what her name is. The woman who plays Abuela. It might be
Olga Marias.
She might be in the Oscar race this year, guys. Just keep an eye out for that. So I think this movie's got a lot going for it as far as characters.
Crushes, dude.
Yes.
It was just a great ensemble, great music. Jimmy Smits looked like he was having the time of his life doing shooting this film.
I even like the kid Sonny, the younger cousin.
Yes, dude. He was for me, he was the sleeper of the film, man.
Yes.
Do you
feel the same way about the characters? Like I think they all really knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, dude. They absolutely did. I can't recommend this movie enough. Again, it's between A Quiet Place 2 and this. These are the top films of 2021 for me thus far. If you're Latin, please support it. We don't get a lot of this. Please go support it. It's even if it's through streaming through HBO Max, man. Subscribe with a different email, get the 3 days. Unsubscribe just like Latins do, but just get that streaming.
What's next on HBO Max? We got what? Space Jam. Space Jam's coming, and then Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
You know what looks good? I saw a trailer before in the Heights for a new Hugh Jackman movie called Reminiscence. It's with Hugh Jackman and Rebecca Ferguson, and it's like in the future where everything's flooded, and now people like buy nostalgia, and you get to like relive your best moments. It looks amazing. It looks like Blade Runner 2049.
That sounds like 2021 for us.
Yes,
because everything they sell us now is nostalgia.
Check out the trailer when you get a chance. I know that's coming as well. I think that's gonna be in August though. So, Bert, is this movie a recommendation for you as well?
Hell yeah! This is definitely like what Jader said. I mean, if you have a chance to go to the theater, if you've been hesitant, if you've been waiting for the right movie to go to the theater to see, definitely In the Heights is the movie. Like,
and honestly,
this is what going to the movies is about. Like having an experience like it was wonderful.
This was for me escapism with a little bit of realism, just like we were talking about with our previous film.
Yeah,
it honestly, at least for us, we escape to go to the movies. We see, because it has a lot of fantasy. They're dancing on buildings and things like that. But you're also, they're hitting these again beats where you're like, oh my God, that's just like home. Oh my God, I remember when my tia used to do things like that. It's little things like that where I'm like, man, it just, it felt very homey to me, man. I loved it. I can't recommend it enough.
The most fantastical thing in this movie was when they started dancing in the middle of the basketball court and no one said a word. That would never fly. Those guys would be so pissed. Get off the court.
Yeah. Right.
This is a recommend for me as well. Please go see this if you can. I think it's on HBO Max for another 2 weeks. It's going to be in theaters for probably another 4 weeks. So give this a chance while you can before all the other big movies start coming out. It's about to come Fast and Furious. We got F9 coming out this week, and I think you got Black Widow coming out, a Purge movie. You got Space Jam. So it's about to come out pretty quickly here. And so give this musical a chance. I know there's a lot more musicals coming out this year as well.
West Side Story.
West Side Story, and then Dear Evan Hansen's another one that's coming out. So keep an eye out. There's a lot of good stuff. But that's going to do it for us, guys, on this episode of the Jader and Kyle Show. Got 2 great reviews out there. We wrapped up the Fast and Furious franchise, so you got a little surface look at that. And Bert, thank you for joining us, man. It was a pleasure having you on.
Of course, anytime, guys.
Absolutely. Is there anything you want to plug? You got shows coming out this week or next week?
Well, this week no, but stay tuned for my review for Fast 9. It should be up on the site in a few days.
Awesome. All right, Fast 9, we got that coming. Jader, what do you have coming, man? Do you have a review coming soon? I mean, this was your review for Fast 9.
That's my review for Fast 9, so here you go, guys. There are talks in the Schmodown world. I have a match coming up. It hasn't been announced yet, so look out for that. And whatever whatever movie they tell me to go see, I just show up, guys. That's always been my thing. I just show up. So you tell me to go see a movie, I'm gonna go review it. I'm hoping we get some Black Widow action. So
it'd be nice.
We'll see that. And just make sure you check out the channel. We have I don't even know. I'm sorry if I missed anybody, but Just Too Sweet show. We have the Granny's PhD. We have
put it in the books.
Put it in the Met show. Listen, put it in the books. We have our show.
There's the Streaming Wars. You have the Four Quarter show.
Just whatever you guys like. We like sports, movies,
Empire.
TV. We got it for you guys. So just stay tuned.
There's a lot of stuff coming. And next week, guys, I don't know if you see it below. This is the Jader and Kyle Show, episode 49. Maybe we'll have something big for episode 50 coming up soon. So check us out. We will be back next time on another brand new episode of the Jader and Kyle Show.